The thing we brought home, *3 bullets should have killed it. I watched them punch through its chest like holes in a paper lantern. But the thing we brought home, our gentle, purring little miracle, didn't stop. It crawled across the ceiling, one bright eye burning like a coal, and it was coming for the men who took my daughter. And for the first time that night, I believed we might live. You're listening to Untold Dark Truths, feature-length horror, thriller, and suspense. Anton, father; Alina, 8; daughter; Marina, mother; bearded seller. The promise in the cold November wind crawled under my coat, past the buttons, past the shirt, finger cold against my ribs. I would have gone home, but a promise to your child is a holy thing. Alina tugged my sleeve, bobbing through the maze of cages and glass tanks, parakeets, kittens, snakes asleep under heat lamps. Dad, you promised me a friend. I did, I said. What kind of friend? Something no one else has. She walked past the rabbits I lobbied for, past the puppies, stopped only at a case of hairy spiders, staring as if reading a language only she knew. At the market's end, where the vendors were fewer and the prices honest, cage under a blanket sat with a handwritten sign that looked like a misspelling. From behind the table, a bearded man rose like a jack-in-the-box, eyes red from the cold. "Mzgla," he croaked. Old miners kept them. Smell danger hours before it comes. Gas, collapse, trouble. He peeled back the blanket. Inside, something slept. Hamster-sized, fox-long nose, light brown fur, gentle. It yawned. And the gentle became not. Needle teeth flashed. The fur rippled, and too slender. Furred legs unfolded from its sides like a spider stretching after a nap, then folded back, gone as if I'd imagined them. Alina's breath fogged the air. "I love her," she whispered. "Her?" I asked. The seller smiled. "Name is Buzia, she's kind. Especially to children." He fed it a shard of peanut halva. Tiny hands held the sweet. The creature nearly toppled over, 4 hidden legs flicking to balance. It 8 in total when they all showed at once. The effect was wrong and wonderful. "How long do they live?" I asked. "Long as a story," he said. "With luck, 100 years. How much?" He named a number that hurt. We haggled until it hurt less. He handed me the cage as if handing over a piece of himself. "Careful. Keep doors closed the first day. She learns fast, and she will remember your scent." Marina fainted at the second set of legs. That's how our welcome went. But hearts soften when a creature places a fallen fork back on the table with delicate hands, then sits to watch you cook like a tiny, respectful guest. In a week, Buzia knew our voices. She learned Alina's schedule, trotting to the door every morning to see her off. At night, she played hide and seek, the click-click-click of 8 legs drumming across the hallway ceiling. Light, fond chuckle. She loved halva. She tolerated me. She adored my wife, but outside the apartment, the air smelled like trouble. I'd said no to certain men. They didn't like that word. The seller's line about smelling danger circled back in my head like a fly you can't swat. One night, Alina slept with Buzia curled under her hair like a small, warm hat. Marina asked me if we were safe. I lied the good lie we tell to sleep. And then, truth arrived with boots. The night they came, 3 men in leather jackets. 2 more outside. The knives came first, then the guns. They pressed Marina to the wall, kicked me to the floor. Words like roof, like debt, like lesson, hit harder than their shoes. Alina stood in the corridor, paralyzed, hugging the cage with both arms. The smallest man turned to her. "Put the pet down," he said. "Be a good girl." I was about to beg when the world took a left turn. Something dropped from the ceiling onto the small man's face, a fist-sized, hissing star of fur. He screamed a sound that didn't belong to a man. He clawed at his eyes as Buzia blurred away, a smear of brown that suddenly became tense silence and breathing behind the cupboard. The second man lunged, grabbing at her and jerking back with a curse. 2 fingers suddenly not where they belonged. The room exploded into motion shouts, blood, 3 shots. I threw myself toward Alina. Marina did the same. We were a pile of arms and fear and love. Buzia launched again, a ceiling comet, across tile and wall and curtain rod, buying us seconds. That's all a miracle ever gives you, seconds. Then came a 4th shot, and a 5th, and stillness. They grabbed Alina. Someone laughed. Another said, "She's a witness." "Not here," the leader said. "We take her. Boss decides." They dragged their friend's body into a carpet roll, slung it like a log. They took my daughter like luggage. The door shut. I could hear my own breath. I could not hear Buzia. The thing that wouldn't stay, the police took statements and left pieces of tape. The building took gossip and returned judgment. A janitor buried something small in the flower bed and patted the soil with the flat of his spade. Near dawn, the earth swelled like a breath held too long. A narrow, dirt-slick muzzle pushed through the soil, followed by a single burning orange eye. Where the other should be was only scar. The creature dug itself free, twice the size it had been. It sniffed the air. It turned toward the street like a compass to north. I didn't see it. Not with my eyes. But a father knows when something fierce chooses his child as fate. I followed a thread I couldn't explain to the garage, to the car, to the highway going out of the city, to the industrial edge where the river smells like metal and old promises. The warehouse with no name, the van that took her sat outside a warehouse with dead windows. My phone had no one left to call. So I called her. I stood in the alley and whispered to the wind, "Buzia." "Alina." The night answered in 8 soft clicks above my head. She was there, larger, hunched with longer legs that folded and unfolded like a pocket knife. The missing eye had become a dark jewel of a scar. The live one burned. "Help me," I said. My voice broke. "Please." She tilted her head, scenting the air. Then she moved fast, a brown streak up the gutter, along the rusting seam where brick met shadow. Inside, the warehouse was a maze of blue light and bad decisions. Voices bounced off metal. Someone was telling a joke. Someone was cleaning a gun badly. I slid through the broken side door like a thief who'd forgotten how to be quiet. A corridor. A steel door. Another. At the third, I heard Alina, not crying, not yet. Talking to someone the way you talk to a frightened dog. "It's okay. It's okay," she said. "We're going home soon." I put my ear to the lock. A simple bolt. My hands didn't feel like hands. I reached for it, and the ceiling above me rippled. Buzia flattened herself like a second skin over the pipe, then poured down the wall, vanishing under the door like smoke. I counted to 10, then to 20. Then a man down the hall shouted something ugly. Another chair scraped. I had to move. She'd found a way. The bolt was lifted from the inside. I slipped through. Alina sat on a metal chair, hands tied in front. Her cheek was bandaged. Her eyes were clear. Beside her, on the back of the chair, Buzia perched like a brooch from a nightmare. One eye watching the room, the other a scar that watched everything else. "Hi, Dad," Alina said. She always says hi like it's the first good thing all day. I cut the rope with trembling fingers. 3 doors down, a man coughed. 2 more argued about who would make coffee. The corridor smelled like oil and boiled onions and something that had been alive earlier. "We walk," I whispered. "Soft, now." We made it to the hall. 4 steps, 5, 6, hey. A shadow at the end of the corridor snapped into motion. A pistol lifted. I moved without thinking. The bullet ate the wall. The second chipped the doorframe beside Alina's ear. She didn't scream. She looked at Buzzia. What happened next doesn't fit in the shape of words. The creature unfolded, 8 legs touching down with a papery tap. She climbed the wall beside the gunman, fast as a thought, and dropped across his wrist. The gun went off into the ceiling, then skittered. His curses turned to pure noise. I scooped Alina. We ran. 2 more men burst from a side room. One with a light, one with a bat. I threw a fire extinguisher. It hit the light. Darkness broke the fight in half. We tumbled into a storage bay stacked with crates. I locked the door and jammed a pipe through the handles. We didn't have long. "Dad," Alina said, hands white around my coat. She came for me. I smelled her before I saw her, like sugar and dust. From the ceiling vent, 2 orange points looked down, the last thing some men in this building ever saw clearly. They hit the door like surf. The pipe bent. The lock screamed. It would hold until it didn't. A chain hung from the rafters. A cargo shutter led to the riverside. A switchboard older than me sat by the dock lamp. "Okay," I said, to my child, to the creature, to the dark. "We're leaving." I yanked the shutter chain. The river wind punched the room. The door behind us finally gave. The first man through slipped on the wet ramp and hit the rail. The second saw Buzzia and fired. The bullet missed me. He wouldn't get a second. She fell on him like a storm of string. There was blood, yes, but less than there could have been. Mostly there was screaming and dropping, and then silence. I didn't look back. Some truths don't need eyes. They need witness. We ran to the pier. A vapor light turned everything blue. Our breath looked like ghosts leaving our mouths. Behind us, the warehouse settled out ahead of us. The water said, "Cold." "Dad," Alina whispered. "We can't leave her." I turned. Buzzia limped from the doorway, larger than when she went in, smaller than the thing that could have taken everyone apart. The river wind ruffled the fur along her spine. She looked up at Alina. The eye burned. She climbed slowly, gently onto my daughter's shoulder, and tucked her head under Alina's ear like always. We walked into the fog before the sirens found us. The scent of home. Weeks later, we live where the wind smells like the sea. The seller from the market is gone. Maybe he was never there. The cage sits by the window, door open. It's a symbol now. Trust is a dangerous pet. Sometimes when the kettle sings, I hear 8 light taps along the ceiling. Sometimes a bright orange eye gleams from the curtain's edge, watching the street for vans that forgot their place. And sometimes, when the house is dark and the world outside grows smaller than the love we keep inside it, a voice in my head repeats, "A promise to your child is a holy thing." That, and the quiet truth that walks our ceiling. Some friends are miracles with teeth. You've been listening to Untold Dark Truths, feature-length horror, thriller, and suspense. If this story gripped you, subscribe and tap the bell for a new long episode each week. Share it with someone who leaves the lights on. Good night.